Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have caught the Robbie Williams documentary on Netflix yet, but yo!
That's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt.
What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. John Fetterman, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I have an incredible chat with Christopher Mansfield of FENCES. We talk about his latest release, Bright Soil, and the book he just dropped, The Horses in Montana. We go deep, and we get a little personal on this one. Not just him, me as well. It's a great conversation, and that's coming up in a minute. But before we get there, if you haven't done so already, why don't you hop on over to www.yothat'smyjawn.com and check out all those sweet links. You can sign up for the mailing list there. You can get sweet updates delivered straight into your inbox. You can hit up the redesigned website, revisit some of your favorite episodes of the podcast, or find some you never heard before. I put up a collection on there of what I like to call the Spotlight episodes. These are ones that I think are a good starter pack if you're trying to get a good understanding of what the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast is all about. What else is up on the link tree? Oh, you can find links to other people's shows that I have guested on. That's a good one. Check me out on the Yesteryear Ballyhoo Review, or maybe listen to my story on the Risk podcast. Or if you want to hear me talk about graffiti rock or my so-called life, you can hear me do just that on the Single Season Record podcast. So click it, www.yothat'smyjawn.com, or follow us on the socials at Yo, That's My Jawn. I think we're good there. Cool. Well then, let's take a short break, and then we can get into my interview with Christopher Mansfield. Yo, That's My Jawn is brought to you by Liquid IV. Guys, it is festival season, and you know me, I love a festival, and the secret to enjoying a festival is to stay hydrated. Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through to the headliner, and recover after the weekend. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Man, I love Liquid IV. It comes in a convenient packaging, and it's tasty. When you see me at the Exponential Music Festival this fall, you know that I will have Liquid IV on me. And it comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. All right, strawberry used to be my favorite, but they have this new one. It's strawberry lemonade, and it is a banger. 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. So Liquid IV partners with leading organizations for innovative solutions to help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Okay, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code YTMJ at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code YTMJ at liquidiv.com. Do it, and let's get our fests on. My guest today is a singer, songwriter, and now author hailing from Seattle, Washington. His latest album, Bright Soil, is a beautifully emotional 10-song LP, backed by what he has referred to as his dream band, featuring Felix Pastorius on bass and the late Jeremiah Green on drums. He has also recently released The Horses in Montana, a collection of short narratives about his life and the experiences that have shaped him into the artist he is today. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show Christopher Mansfield of the band FENCES. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Christopher Mansfield of FENCES. Christopher, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Thank you for having me, man.
So I'm super stoked to be able to talk to you. Bright Soil came out in September, and it's absolutely phenomenal, and I've been ingesting it nonstop ever since. So to be able to get to chat with you about it and so much more means so much to me, man.
Thank you, man. My pleasure. Absolutely.
So I always like to start these conversations in the Wayback Machine. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
Spent a lot of time in Seattle, Washington. Good amount of time in Boston, Florida, a little bit. I just had a really young mother, so we moved around a lot. You know, she was like 17 when I was born, so just kind of zipping around. But I would say, when I look back at kind of my formative years or like the formation of me as a person, it would probably be Seattle. Yeah. Would be the one. You know what I
mean? Bouncing around like that, was it like remotely, like, or was it like in one space moved to another? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, were you bouncing around or in a cycle? That's the cycle. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I think she was just, you know, I mean, I think my mom was just searching for purpose or stability, and I just happened to be like in the kangaroo pouch, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, maybe she, you know, had a friend who heard of some work over there, and she's like, "Oh, go do that," or maybe she met a man or something like that. So I think it was like, I wouldn't say victim is in a sense of victimization, but victim just in a sense of proximity, that her trying to just become a woman, you know, she was a teenager. So her kind of searching out her meaning and some stability, I was there.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to bounce all over the place here because I have ADHD and focusing on one thing just doesn't work for me. But I also got to, you just also just came out with the Horses in Montana, and I got a chance to read it before the interview here. And one of the pieces in there that really stood out to me dealt with the realization of your mother being more your friend than your mother, and I relate to that. Nice. I relate to that so much because that was my child. There's actually a lot that hopefully we'll be able to touch on here that I have like a parallel experience with. But the concept of your mother being your friend just hit home for me so hard because like my mom was, you know, especially growing up, like we hung out and did everything, like, and anything she did, regardless of whether I should have been there or not, you know, we did together.
Yeah. I thank you for noticing that. Yeah, there was a mix up in heaven. She came down instead of my mother. It came down my friend. Yeah. Yeah, I remember my mom at one point was like a stripper, and but at the strip club they had a Street Fighter arcade game, so I would have to be at work while she was a stripper, and I just play that arcade game and like just wait for her to get out of work, and I get to see all the girls and everything, and so yeah, like you're saying, places you maybe shouldn't have even been, like you're there for everything, and it's like it was interesting, and like. Yeah, we'd play like Nintendo. She'd be like, show me how to play this game. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool though, because looking back, it was like, it's funny because it doesn't break my heart, but I don't wonder, but I guess I feel touched that maybe she needed the friend. You know what I mean? Like I did, you know, I didn't. I could go run off with fucking Todd or Tyler down the road, but it's like if your mom wants to hang out with you, she probably like she needs a friend, you know what I mean? And that's like there's something like sad about that, I think, but
Yeah.
beautiful, you know?
Yeah, it's something I've had this conversation with my wife and a few other people, when I talk about my childhood and stuff like that. Like, sometimes I'll hear things like, oh, well, that was like a bad time. And I'm like, it wasn't like that. Like, I don't know if
yeah.
and like, I'll tell her some stories, about my mom, and she'll be like, I from some of the things I gathered from your childhood, I didn't gather how much your mother loved you. And I'm like, yeah, like, it wasn't, it's such a weird situation to try to explain to somebody else that, like, you can have a for lack of better terms, fucked up childhood without it being a fucked up childhood, like.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I'll commend my mother for kind of her sense of being able to like describe things differently than what they were, so I wasn't traumatized. Like I remember we like lived in a garage for a while, but she was like, we're gonna like stay in this garage, like it'll be like we're camping out, she would like say things like sweeter than what they were, and I took it as that. So I was like, oh, we're gonna like stay in the garage, that's fun. She's like, we can keep the door open and you can like look at the moon, and I think that's really beautiful. And that's like, I think probably just really good parenting. People would say, oh, that's bad parenting, but not everyone has the means, so like if you can take kind of like, a terrible situation and describe it to your child as something fun. It reminds me of fucking The Pursuit of Happiness, when they go into the bathroom and he's like, oh, there's dinosaurs, and like that's really beautiful, man. I think that's what fucking a good parent is, even though on the outside, like maybe a social worker or something would be like, shame on you, but it ain't about that, man. It's like, it's how they it's basically how you remember it as an adult, because I don't look back at anything, if I look back at it through the lens of like a different lens, I go, oh, some of that was bad, but like you said, it's like, yeah, it was fucked up, but it was fucking awesome too. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I can remember, like we, is a weird start to the podcast, but so
yeah, I know. We just go right. Is this like the mother trauma bonding podcast?
Like, also music, but no, I remember like my mom had a heroin addiction, and I remember like going on like drug runs down to the city that would be like games that were like, hey, let's see how long we can hide in the back of the car, like, and like, you know what I mean? And it would be things that, like where like, yeah, that's incredibly fucked up, but also like, like I don't know, like it didn't affect me like that. Like it was a game. It was, and maybe I should go talk to someone about it. Who knows? But like
you are right now. This is
well, that's right. There it is.
You're good. You're cured. No, I hear you. Yeah, it's well, that's the thing. Like I talk about in the book, like my mom with the red plastic cup, Coke with medicine. It's like, that's obviously Coke with rum.
Yeah.
And that's what she called it. So I was like, oh, my mom drinks medicine. You know what I mean? So it's like they can everything's just innocent, it's how they display it to you.
Yeah. So how did music enter in your childhood? Like what was playing, what was your mom listening to that kind of seeped into you?
Man, she was so cool for that stuff, because she was really like, I'd come home and she would be like singing Patsy Cline, you know what I mean, like through like a little amp, like in the living room by herself with a mic and everything. And she was a horrible singer, but like she loved it, and she played me like Tracy Chapman, Fast Car, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares, Madonna, Like a Prayer, Prince, Purple Rain, all that kind of sad, like ballady kind of stuff, like George Michael, Father Figure, like real sad songs. And I remember being young and like hearing that music, and like I'd cry, and I was like, what is this? What this sound like affects my body, and I'm crying. And I was like, I remember she brought me a guitar, and I remember holding it for the first time. And it was weird when I held the guitar because it was Christmas, and she was having a terrible fight with her sister. I'm probably whatever. It's not too personal. It's fine. But I remember holding the guitar. I couldn't play it, but I remember it felt like a weapon, or like a bulletproof vest or something. I was like, oh, and I go, I can do that thing with this that made me feel something like that. And I just never, I literally just never put it down ever since that time. And but my mom was cool. Like, I would tell her, like, I don't want to go to school today. I want to play guitar. And she'd be like, okay. She'd say, like, that's more important than school. Like, it was fucking, I mean, she let me do whatever I want, almost to whatever I wanted, almost to a fault. But I feel like if my mom wouldn't have been so crazy and like a free spirit or whatever you want to call it, I would be not talking to you right now.
Sure. No, 100%. Like, again, the parallels are so incredibly strong. Like, like especially the school thing. Like, my mom and I jokingly one time thought about writing a book together entitled 101 Excuses to Get Your Kid Out of School, because
that's rad.
That was it. I mean, like, and like, like we were saying before, I think it's just that, like, she enjoyed my company, and, so when you got that guitar, were you immediately like trying to write stuff? Like, were you always kind of lyrically writing or poetically writing, or?
No, that's what's funny about the guitar is that for a long time, until God, like, honestly, fairly recently, I found it to be more of like a form of like gymnastics, where I wanted to just, like, I was listening to like Rush and stuff like that. So like, I just wanted to play fast, like tricky stuff. So it was more of like, I was fascinated with just, how could you ever move your hands like that? So I kind of used it as like a, I don't know, like a fucking fidget spinner or something. It was like something like that, but it wasn't, I didn't really dream that I could like write words and then sing them and do it at the same time. But I remember, like, I remember setting up a microphone on a stand, not even plugging it in, and I'd play like fake shows in my room. But I was like, I was so scared. I was scared even alone, Yeah. And it's like a very brazen move, dude, to jump into doing that. And then the reason I was able to do that is I went to Berkeley, and I was like a jazz composition major. So I was just in that, like, like just the sound, no voice. And then I heard Elliott Smith, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened.
That's absolutely wild, because like I like to, there's two artists, and I like to talk about the music I wrote and listened to before and after, and it's Elliott Smith and Jeff Buckley. Like, before the two of them and after the two of them, like, the music just it completely changed. What was it about Elliott that spoke to you?
I'm looking at him right now. There's a drawing of him on the wall. It's funny. I think it was when I was in Berkeley. There's a girl named Jude who went to the conservatory. She played cello, and I was in her room, and she put on the song Between the Bars. And I heard him say, like, drink up, baby, stay up all night, I'll kiss, and I was like, I was drinking and I was with her, and I was like hearing him just describe what was happening, and I was like, oh, like, you can just do that, like. And he just seemed like not obviously he's like this like monolith, and he's like fairly untouchable creatively, but not really at all. I think he's very like, he's, how do I put it? He just, it just seemed like, oh, I can do that. Like I just didn't know. I guess I just didn't know about stuff like that you could, because he wasn't singing crazy, you know what I mean? He's just kind of almost whispering and saying, like, he's just talking about like walking down a street or something, and like things are fucked up, or he's heartbroken or something. And I was like, oh my God, so you can just describe the world and your experience and like do it like sweetly. And it was just, yeah, like broke my fucking brain. And I literally dropped out of college, and I sold my basses and I bought an acoustic guitar, and then I started playing basement shows, and then people started coming to them, you know.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Well, you know, it seems weird, but it also makes all the sense in the world to me that, like, you know, I'll get a little heady here, but like, you know, using the guitar as a protection and trying to noodle and mimic Alex Lifeson and stuff like that, and jazz and stuff like that.
Yes.
But the thing that resonates, the thing that people connected to, is when you put that down and started just kind of emoting, you know, and being
right.
your core self. Like, it makes sense to me, like, you know.
Yeah. No, you're right. Exactly. I think it was, I took the fucking long way. I took the long road. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Let me learn jazz first, and then now I hardly play guitar. I mean, my songs are like fucking like 3 notes, man. They're like, like harmonically, they're like, so, I mean, I have some songs that are like almost fucking 2 chords. It doesn't matter. And then even when I got to like writing the book, I was getting, even like you said, heady. I was like, oh, you don't even need chords. You know what I mean? And it's weird. And then you go, well, if you like hug a woman you love, you don't even need words. You know, just trying to like break down all that. And then I'm like, what's behind the hug? Like, I think that's probably just God.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned about stripping it down and getting more to the essence, because the intro to the album, the intro to Hell, is just a flex, man. Was that just you going, oh, can I still do this? And then we'll get back into it.
Well, that song's hold on a second. This it's cool. I haven't like got to talk about that, but it's like, the thing about that is I told everyone, I said to Jeremiah, I go, just play like your frustrations. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, don't even ask me, dude. Just, and then I said that to Felix, and then it was like, we all did everything separately, and then smashed it together, so no one could hear what anything. So it just as a thing. But the reason I did that is Felix Pastorius, his father is Jaco Pastorius. He's on the record, and his father has an album called Word of Mouth, and the first song is called Crisis, and it's kind of when he was going through bipolar disorder, and he used that tactic. And I said, well, Felix, you're here. I go, let's honor your father, and let's honor all of you. And that song creeps me out, though, listening to it, because Jeremiah obviously has passed away. Jeremiah, like, you know, and it was really weird, but he had finished the record, and then before he left, I was like, wait, can you just do this thing for me real quick? And he was like, yeah, man. So that's the last drums he ever played.
Fuck.
And that's fucking makes, so when I hear that, and then I called it Hell, I'm like, oh God. Kind of spooky.
Yeah. Holy shit, man. That just fucking adds so much more weight to it. Like, cause it is like just a beautiful opening to the album too. Like, it's just like, but like, wow. So you're starting to play those house shows. When does the MySpace page start?
Yeah, that was so crazy. I'm glad I did that, you know. I was I was like, you know, just a breakfast cook. I was in Seattle, probably like 2007 or 8, and I had recorded um, "My Girl the Horse" and "Your Bones," and I think "Boys Around Here." I think I had 3 songs, and I recorded them, and then my friend was like, "You should put it on MySpace," and I was like, I didn't really know, really know what that was, and then I didn't have like a band name or anything, you know, so it just all kind of was like, all right, let's set you up, you know, put it on there, have a band name, and dude, like really quickly, that's when like Sarah found it, or a guy named Butcher actually found it and sent it to Sarah, and then the Tegan and Sarah MySpace messaged mine, and I thought it was like not real because I listened to them a lot then. Like I loved, you know, obviously because that's when they had like Walking with the Ghost, and that was when they were like first popping, right? So I was like, this is. I thought it was like a fan page or something like that. And yeah, she said, come up to. She's like, do you have a record? I was like, no, like I do this on. I was recording it on like my girlfriend's like fucking like second edition MacBook and shit, you know. And then she said, come make a record with me, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't even have a passport or anything. I didn't have a manager. I had nothing, and I think I only had like probably like one pair of pants. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
was like, not wasn't anything. So
That's wild.
yeah.
And like it, like it's one of those, like, I don't want to say the stars aligned or whatnot like that, but like, you know, right place at the right time, and it got in the right hands, and then that first Fences album comes out. Like, what was the experience of, like, you know, like you said, you know, recording on a MacBook to like going into a studio to cut songs that you wrote?
It was. I just remember being really scared, you know, like because what made it interesting is I was like afraid of her. First, I was starstruck by her, so I had to like be around her. And I'm like, I just saw you on YouTube like yesterday, and now, and it was horrifying, but like beautiful. Looking back on it, I don't think anyone's ever given me a better favor. I mean, she literally pulled me out of obscurity. Like it's, I always thought to myself, I wish I could do that for someone. I just haven't had I haven't found any way to do it or found anyone. But yeah, it was heavy, man, and it was like, it was crazy because right after the album was done, I went to rehab. So I was in rehab for 28 days. So I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't contact anyone. And I got out of rehab and I went home. And this is before iPhones really, I didn't have, this is like my first phone, you know, but I went on my laptop, my girlfriend's laptop, and I put headphones on, and I got to hear it because I didn't get to hear it.
Oh,
I was away for like a month. And then, I was fucking like shit, dude. It was weird, but I remember thinking like, okay, here I am. Now I know I can do it. And I'm like, let's do another one. You know,
yeah.
it was cool. Really cool.
That's awesome. Did it did any of the process kind of affect the way you looked at music? Like, I don't want to say taking it more seriously, because obviously you're writing your heart, so you're taking it seriously, but like, did it affect kind of moving forward, like, okay, now I know this process, this is what I'm going to start to do for the next album?
Sure. She taught me a lot of things that I still use to this day. She was extremely pragmatic, and I mean, sometimes I'm more of like a method actor when it comes to recording, where it's like some weird like Brian Eno, Rick Rubin bullshit. But like I remember her telling me like, they're not going to know if like there's a candle in here or if you mean it or if it's the seventh time you sing it. They're not going to know that. And I remember being like, no, like this song, that's the one. I did it. And she's like, no, like do it again, again, again. And then, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it was almost like, I thought that my kind of like honesty or earnestness would dissolve over doing like tons of takes and vocal comps and things like that. I was maybe too like romantic about it, but then realizing that what matters is the end result and that people aren't going to know. If I said like, I love you, darling, please come home. If I fucking sang it and when I sang it the first time, I'm like crying, they're not going to know if it's that one or the 40th one.
Yeah.
Where I'm over it. But if it sounds the best, you know what I mean? That really taught me a lot about going, okay, this is like a really emotional game, but at the same time, it's technology and it's making things perfect. And that sort of taught me a lot. And I still use those kind of, I guess, ideologies a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know it. Like, I had a very small music career, for lack of better terms, but like that was one of the things I could never really reconcile in my brain is takes, because I was just because I want it to be as real as possible, and like
exactly.
and like you said, you have to just keep doing it until it's perfected. But like, at times I'm like, I don't know, this sounds better, but this one is so real, like, and I'm the worst editor in that regards.
I think it's like it's the way that I could kind of reconcile with that is knowing, I think Marlon Brando said like everything after the first take is acting, right? But they can't see you.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You know what I mean? Because I that's what I thought. I was like, no, like, but then they say with writing, like, everything after your first draft is writing. So there are conflicting ideologies about kind of the process of that. So that helped me a lot. But yeah, just kind of learning all that shit really helped me, or like learning like what you want a kick drum to sound like, and just real nitty gritty types of stuff. And then having her tell me like, oh, like with the final chorus, she's like, you do it 4 times. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know, like, almost like song structure that feels better on a record. Cause all the songs I had brought were done, but it'd be like verse, chorus, and I was just done. And I'm like, well, no, I'm done. I said what I needed to say. She's like, no, but you have to repeat the chorus so like people can listen to it. I was like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, really fundamental, like song structure stuff. And that really stuck with me a lot. And I remember her harping on me like about not having bridges in my songs. So then I started writing bridges. I try to avoid them still, but yeah,
it's cool. You got a style and you got to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked so far. So don't break it.
I know, right?
So that comes out and it gets some good praise and stuff like that. And then you start working on Lesser Oceans after that. Is that what came next? And then
yeah.
When did the whole songs for eating and drinking occur? When did that kind of?
Oh shit, that was actually before.
Oh really?
Yeah, but that was a really interesting moment because that was like right before I did the record, and then Macklemore saw that, and then that did that.
That's what put that together. It's wild because like, obviously, you've gotten your stuff in front of some really good people who have worked to collaborate with you, but more so than that, like that only goes so far when those things happen. Like you not just do that, but you hold your own and excel in those kind of things. Like I listened to Arrows just before we started this, just to kind of refresh on it, and like Macklemore's on it, but it's like your song, like you are totally shining on it. Like what is it like to kind of work with someone, because you've done that, you've done the song with Billy Strings and stuff like that. What's it like to like work with someone as almost like a fan, but also know that you have a job to do and you have to, like I said, hold your own and pull your own weight?
Yeah, it feels like a mirror, because I remember like being in the studio with Billy, like afraid and like so excited, like, oh my God. And then I remembered, because I remember when he started singing like, when you cross the stream, when he goes into the bridge, I remember like playing, being like, oh my God, that's so good. And then I remembered like, oh wait, I wrote that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I always want to like give it away. So it's it's interesting, the balance of ego and appreciation, and kind of like walking that line about not being like completely, I don't know, just like totally downtrodden, and like that's the weird thing. I forget that like oh, you wrote the thing, like they want you to, they want to do it with you, and it's I don't think I've ever been able to hold the honor correctly. I always just feel like I don't know, I'm like this with my friends, like I don't want to take compliments or advice or anything. I want to give compliments and give advice and give songs and give, like, I have like a hard time accepting like a talent, because if I feel like the moment that I go like yeah, I mean, I'm genius at this, like I'm good at this, I feel like that's a dangerous man,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you kind of, I'm going to bring it back to Horses in Montana again, which I implore everyone to read, because another one that stood out for me was Witness. Where you're kind of talking about the concept of, I'm going to sit down and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, but it's like that. It's kind of that balance between fear and admission of what we do. Like it's like
right.
It's like, is this manipulative? I forget exactly how you put it in there.
Oh,
but.
yeah. Well, that's the huge the cycle of it, is saying that, yeah, the admittance of this is the most manipulative of all. Like me just admitting that I could do it and refusing to do it, that's also manipulating the reader. So I was just like, oh, I don't know. I just, these are the things that drive me crazy,
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's what's so hard about like human communication, which is really books or music. I wonder, like if I write a beautiful song, it's like, am I trying to get someone to love me? Am I trying to get money? Am I trying to apologize? Like, what is really honest? And maybe the honesty is that you do need something back, but it's like, I always thought to myself, like, the greatest art of all would just be to do nothing. But then that would be selfish.
Sure.
So you can't really win. And I've had a lot of these conversations with people, and lately what helps me is I just try to do everything for God. Whatever my version of God is, everything I do is just for God, because otherwise I'll drive myself mad. Because I go, well, sure, yeah, I wrote because a lot of the songs, like fucking Arrows, I wrote that So Macklemore would be on it, so I could go to a major label, so I could get famous. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. And then even the sad ones, it's like maybe I did it so like a girl would like me or something. And it's interesting to think about what, like, if no one was listening to you, reading you at all, what would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, like I've kind of done this retrospect on my own kind of output, be it music or even this podcast and stuff like that, and I've been able to boil it down to my main driving thing has always been I just want someone to listen to me, and and there's such an ego behind that I have to like kind of either kill or accept that it's kind of that duality. And like you were saying, like, it's like it is gross how much I want someone's attention, anyone, it doesn't matter who it is, and in specific times, specific people. But the stuff that I've created from it, like, it means a lot to me. You know what I mean? So like, it's this weird duality of like understanding, that there is a bit of selfishness in it, but also, I also, in saying that, I want someone to hear me, not because I want them to just, throw roses at me, which would be amazing, but also because I feel like I have something to say that like could help them or make them, like it's not just entirely a selfish endeavor, but it's a weird balance to kind of deal with.
Yeah. That's a good assessment. And that actually helps the kind of the fucking puzzle there, is that if what you're doing is actually helpful to others, then you're clean. Your street is clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you did, like, we don't own like a cigarette company where it's like you're actually just harming people, even though cigarettes help me. But yeah, that's true. It's like I think there just needs to be like an exchange. So it's like if you get admiration or attention for what you do, as long as the thing that you do is helping someone else, I think that's like a fair trade.
Yeah, and like it feels like that's to me where like this podcast has come from for me, because like I said, I was a musician and I just kind of pivoted into this, and this became more of my drive now. But my favorite thing about this is being able to bring people music or musicians or creatives that they may never have found on their own, and just kind of expose other people. So it's like I'm now like doing like this double duty of like servicing my own ego by getting people to hear me speak, but also listen to the stuff I'm trying to give you, like I'm trying to bring awesome stuff.
Well, yeah,
to you.
then you're literally riding that line perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm going to start a podcast. I'm kidding.
If you need a guest, I'll come on. But so back to Bright Soil, because as I said, I like to bounce around. You got a music video for Werewolf Palm, which it looks absolutely beautiful. It's just stunning, and the visuals are stunning. So the way that it kind of ends. Is there any thought or idea of doing a continuation of this, or even possibly putting a film together or something?
Yeah, man. Yeah, all those No One and Werewolf Palm, like I wrote all those. I wrote all the dialogue. I wrote the whole theme and of all of it. And it's all one story. So it starts with thin legs. I go to the preacher. I leave. Then I go to the No One video. I'm in a cult. They love me. I leave. I go to the Bright Soil video. I'm dead. And then I answer the phone. And then Jonah wakes me up. And in the Werewolf Palm video, like, I'm in hell. You know what I mean? So it's all one story, and you can kind of like feel it if you like look at all of them. You go, it's like one story. And Hannah directed that video, and she's insane because it was me, and that's just one girl behind the camera. That's it.
Wild.
No crew, no crew. she's a maniac, honestly.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's kind of, it was, she'll be like fucking hanging upside down from like the rafters or something to get this. I mean, she was a real tough cookie and a great director. I have been talking about doing something like a kind of a little film or whatever, because that's what's weird about music is as much as I like it, I liked writing my book more. I liked writing the videos more. I liked acting in them more. I just feel more of a thing, maybe because it's new or something. But yeah, I'd love to put something together. I actually recorded a new record. Well, literally no one knows about this yet, but I recorded a record called Prairie Tremens, like delirium tremens, alcohol withdrawal, and then prairie before. But it's done, and I recreated the cover of the Alcoholics Anonymous book, but it says Prairie Tremens instead. And I'm going to record one video that's 45 minutes. That's just the whole record.
Wow.
So that's like my thing that I'm like obsessing about. So
That's cool. I can't wait, man. Like that sounds super exciting. So you said it's recorded. Have you started shooting any of it or?
No. Well, the music is done. Yeah, I'll send it to you if you give me your email or something.
Dig it.
No visuals yet, because I have to write because the songs are gonna change. You know what I mean? The songs change, but it has to stay the same linear thing. So it's like the first song is it just says like, "Love, let me sweep the floor beneath your feet." So it'll just start. I'm sweeping, in the video. Like I'm gonna like follow it like pretty literally.
Oh wow!
So to figure out how to sort of make that work is going to be not hard, but it'll take me. I've kind of written a little bit of it, but it's going to be an endeavor at best.
Yeah. Has putting, as you kind of touched on it, but has putting this book together and writing this book, has it kind of sparked that itch as well? Like, will there be more books like this? Or
I already have another one.
Really?
Straight
I
up.
love it, man.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but yeah, it was it's like the popcorn one. That one was one that took me like maybe like an hour or something, but the other ones are so quick. It's just such quick stuff. But I'm like more interested now in like doing something like popcorn, like the longer form. I kind of just want to do a straight shot. Yeah, like not breaking it up or whatever. And I'm starting one. I mean, I wrote one just recently called Grazing, and it was about a man who goes to see his daughter be born, and then the mother dies, and then he comes home with the baby, and then he says, "I guess I better bottle feed."
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like getting like super sardonic or whatever. So I have like little beautiful things floating around, but I'm working on like a longer. So it's like the book, will be like 400 pages, but it's just one instead of broken up.
That's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned popcorn, because that was, it's clearly like the centerpiece of the whole book, and it's just so evocative, like just the visuals you kind of paint in there, especially like the walk to the cemetery is like my favorite piece in there. Is just
thank you, man. Thank you.
And it just hits, man. The other piece in the book that really stood out, that I wrote down to mention is Slippers. And the reason obviously it's going to go back to the parallel and all, but the going to visit your mother in rehab and you feeling like a summer camp
exactly. We're back to the beginning.
Yeah. It just, I mean, but like it hit me. I remember I went to a dance. And I was like my mom's date to the dance at a rehab once, and like it felt like I was in like
you're one
summer.
Of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it felt like I was in a summer camp cabin, man. Like it just and like you didn't have to draw anymore. The second I read that line, I was like, oh fuck, I know this. Like I like.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. Shit. Well. Yeah, I don't know many people that can relate to that well. That's really beautiful. Fuck yeah, I would love it, dude. Like they had well, it's funny, the rehab she went to, I've been to 3 times after.
Oh, really?
But I think it changed. But I remember when I was a kid, it was like I got to they had garbage cans full of cereal with the bags, and then you just dipped a bowl in. And then they had like a milk dispenser. And I remember thinking like it was so cool. I was like, I can just come and get all the cereal I want. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I didn't even know it was rehab at all. I was like, just a thing, because my mom in rehab was, I think they discontinued it, but they had like a softball league.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'd be like, my mom's like playing softball. She's at this place. Like, so funny. And I wish I still had the drawing, but there was a really old Native American man. I remember, I should have put this in the book. I fucked up. He sat by my mom at in the dining hall, and he looked at me. He's like, do you want a drawing? And I go, yeah, of course. You know, I'm a little kid. I'm excited. And then he drew a hand like with middle finger, but he drew a bird as the middle finger, and he goes, flipping the bird.
That's incredible.
And I didn't get it at the time. I didn't know what that meant. You know what I mean? And I think my grandma might have like taken it and thrown it away.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's wild though. You should recreate it somehow.
I'll probably get it tattooed on me.
That was my next thing I was just gonna say. It was like, it'd make a great tattoo, man.
It would, right? A hand with a bird instead of the middle finger.
It's awesome.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, I remember my mom after when she got out of rehab, she brought home a dude. I remember it was a gay black guy, shaved head, bald, big hoop earrings, long red nails. His name was Rima, and she was like, he's gonna stay with us. And we were staying in like a house that had not been fully built. So if you're upstairs and you open the door, you'd fall. There was no.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's me, my mom, and like Rima from fucking rehab. Crazy.
It's crazy.
More stuff for another book, you know.
I was just gonna say, I will wait. I will wait for that chapter, because that sounds fun. But at this time, you want to go through my questionnaire? This is the jauntlet. I end all of my interviews with this. This is just kind of like picking favorites in the first half with the one-hit wonders. It starts with Billy Joel or Elton John. Who do you prefer?
Billy Joel for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Debbie Harry.
All right. Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, good choice. Nirvana or Pearl Jam? Being in Seattle,
Oh, you turned my world to black, tattooed everything. Pearl Jam.
Hell yeah. I'm in agreement. Did I see you say that Stone Gossard was at one of the what was it?
He was at the songs for eating and drinking.
That's wild.
But that was funny because I remember he played a Hank Williams song, and he goes, I just found out about this guy. And in my mind, that it ruined him for me.
Yeah.
I go, you just found out. I'm like, you're a famous, world traveled, like you're like a god. I'm like, how did you miss that? That like broke something in my brain where I go, okay, he's undeified, and now I need to go do it, because you can't not know who Hank Williams is.
Hell yeah. Like if he were like, I just heard about Hank the Third, maybe I would allow it. Maybe
That's
but,
fine. But yeah, that one's fine. That's just
Wow.
crazy, dude. Yeah, I thought I never forgot that, and I've told people that, and they're like, I don't know if I can listen to them anymore. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know, dude. I had a hard time for a second.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Next one, Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Janis Joplin by far.
Yeah. The big cliche, Beatles or the Stones?
Well, I did do "Sympathy for the Devil" with Bonnie Prince Billy, so I'll say the Stones.
Hell yeah. All right. Right on. The last one of the one-hit wonders, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Stairway to Heaven, because my uncle, who just died, used to drive around, and I thought that song was sang by a woman when I was
really?
a little kid. And then he used to tell me he'd give me $10 if I could say every member's name of Led Zeppelin. And then he'd say, "Look out the window," and he'd hit his pop pipe. He'd smoke weed. He'd be like, 10 seconds out the window. And then I used to say, I always would get stuck on Jimmy Page, but he'd give me a clue. He'd be like, "What's the cricket in Pinocchio?"
Oh, yeah. That's cool. That's so cool. This last section is the top 10 countdown. In this, I don't know how familiar you are with the word Jawn. It's Philly slang for literally anything you want it to be. We use it. A friend of mine put it very well. He said, Philadelphians use the word Jawn like Smurfs use the word Smurf. So anything you want it to be, it can be. Number one, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
The first thing I was obsessed with when I was a kid, fucking Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah. Did you see the new movie? It's actually really good.
I haven't. I want to.
Yeah, it's really good. Check that out. Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
I like Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino have a podcast called Bad Friends. I listen to that all the time. It's so funny. I think current Jawn, if you want to like round it out, is probably comedy, because I live right by the Comedy Store. Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I can walk. I walk right there. So comedy is great. And then seeing sort of the correlation, comics and musicians are always friends, and like comics are always like sad, and it just like the happy face, frown face. So like Bill Hicks, George Carlin. That's kind of my vibe right now. That's what's up. I always thought it was funny that all comedians want to be musicians and all musicians want to be comedians. Like, well, that's the horrible thing. Like last night, I was texting my friend Ian Fidance, who's a great comedian, and I text him jokes. I'm like, can you do this? And he's like, dude, I'll do your jokes if I write you a song and you record it. Because I had a joke I told him last night where it's like, I won't get in trouble for this, but it's a white guy who has Tourette's, but his Tourette's come out as different races. So like how you would vocalize that is like up to you. But I'm like, dude, that could be very funny. That's awesome. Yeah, I like that a lot. I performed at a comedy club in New York this year for a storytelling podcast, and it really like put something in my back where I'm now just like, I could probably put a 5-minute set together. Like oh, for sure, dude. I did you can say like gross shit on me, right? Yeah, of course. Okay, I another joke I tried to tell him to tell. I should probably just write it down. I should do it. You should do it. Yeah. I had a joke about a guy who thought he could only come once. So every time he would masturbate, and he'd do it into a little glass, and he pours it back into his penis. I like it. He wants to have kids one day. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, I have all this shit written down, so that's insane. But I go there. I was just at the Comedy Store with like Sam Tripoli, and I know a lot of those dudes, and they're way crazier than you or I. Way crazier. Yeah. But it's not much different, dude. Because I sit there, I go, I could write a song or I could write a joke. What's the difference? That's or right. Write a book. Yeah. Yeah. You did put another thing on the resume right there, Mm-hmm. The number 3, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you saw? Marilyn Manson, 1995,
Wow.
at the Moore Theater with L7 and Nine Inch Nails.
That's killer. That is a
It was
killer
awesome.
lineup.
Yeah, it was fucking cool, dude.
That's awesome. Number 4, what was the last live show you went to, last concert?
Um, what the fuck? I don't go to them anymore. It might have been last concert I went to. Oh, Sarah Bareilles.
Oh, yeah.
It
Wow.
was at the Hollywood Bowl. Someone was like, "You want to come to this thing?" I said, "Yeah." I don't know. I'm not like a fan, but I just went.
Yeah. I got to say, probably one of the top 10 unexpected answers I've ever gotten for that.
I knew that was going to get you. I knew that one.
You could have given me 10 million guesses. I probably not would have
Never. We'd be here all day, dude.
It's awesome. Number 5, what was your favorite concert? What was the best show you ever saw?
This is a real honest answer because I can tell you some super cool shit. But I saw a Vietnamese guy. It's in the book.
Oh, the karaoke?
Yeah, that was it, dude. That I was weeping because he couldn't speak English and he just was belting it, dude. And I no one was watching him, but I was like, oh my God, like I can't stop. I'll always remember him for some reason because it was, he was like right off work and singing "I'm a Creep," like with broken English, dude. He had a mullet, like it was fucking. I think that was because I could say shit. I've seen everybody, but that's the one. That's
the
my
one that
answer.
speaks. I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that was another one that stood out to me in the book because it's just a hyper specific moment and well described.
A lot of alliteration. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
Probably, I'd like to be in Folsom Prison watching Johnny Cash play for me.
Hell yeah, that is a great answer.
So cool.
That's awesome. On this topic, because it's one of my answers to this question, did you ever see Elliott Smith live?
No.
Because that's one that that's one of him and Buckley both are on my list.
I was gonna say Elliot, but I know around because I remember when he died, I was watching the movie Army of Darkness, and then my phone kept ringing, my flip phone, and I answered and then my friend just goes, "Elliot killed himself." And I started sobbing and freaking out. Like we were all fucked up. Like it ruined all of our lives for that moment. But he was playing around, but everyone was saying he's not doing well. Like he's not finishing the songs and he wasn't doing well. So at the end, he was playing pretty weirdly, I think, which is understandable. So I never really, I don't know. I would have gone, but I didn't know he was going to die,
Sure. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me. I remember seeing that he was playing in town. I want to say maybe the Truck or the TLA or something like that in Philly. And I remember I had something that night, but it wasn't something important. It was just oh man, I should really go to this. But I was like, all right, I got this thing and I can't really bail on it. And then I feel
back.
Yeah, exactly. I'll catch him next tour. And then there was no next tour. It's a bummer, man.
Yeah, same.
Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish more people paid attention to.
Let's see. I feel like people lately are really bad with spelling and grammar and expressing themselves, and we live on the internet and we speak in internet slang, and I think people should fucking read Ernest Hemingway or something,
Yeah, no, great answer.
Yeah,
totally. Number 8, name a favorite album.
My favorite album?
Yeah,
of all time.
Yeah, I know it's a shit question, but
no, it's a good question. It's hard. It's a good question though. Either or.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Between that and EXO, like I'm just like I just always am. Whenever someone's like, "Tell me a little bit about," I'm like, "Take these two things, and this is life. Here's life for you." Exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
Exactly. Number 9. Name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
Bonnie Prince Billy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. The 10th and final of the top 10 countdown. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Doesn't have to be music, can be anything you want it to be. What's your favorite thing ever?
My daughter.
Oh, it's beautiful. For the people listening, I only know this because the stupid research that I do for things. Tell everybody your daughter's middle name.
Pizzula.
Yeah, I'm loving it. That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
It's beautiful. The Bright Soil is out right now. How Horses in Montana, is that out or is that coming out?
Yeah, it's out right now, and I would buy it if I were people because I have we printed I think 1,500, and I signed every one of them.
God damn.
And I think they're probably gonna sell out. We'll do a reprint, but with like a different color. And I won't sign those ones.
It's
so
awesome.
This is like a special book. But it's on, if you go to my Instagram, obviously my link tree thing, the website is there and you can click and buy it pretty easily and they'll send it out to you. You'll get it in like 3 or 4 days.
That's awesome. So if these people, speaking of Instagram, these people want to track you down, what's the easiest way to find you on the socials?
FENCES Music.
Awesome.
Yes.
Does your MySpace page still exist? I always ask people this if I find out they have a MySpace page.
I went to it maybe like a year ago, and the website is just insane. You can't even the photo is like upside down, and like I think it's like maybe like a porno site now. I don't even know, dude. It's fucked up.
I tried logging into mine a few years back because there was a bunch of people that I used to talk to back when I played music that I was like would make great guests, and I'm like, I wonder if I can still find their contact info on my old MySpace page. But
oh my god, yeah, I think the website's literally broken, like literally.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It was such a great platform. It really was. Like, not just because it gave you like.
I miss Tom, dude. Tom was like that one photo. He's just like,
yeah. It's
so sweet. That dude's probably so cool, man.
That's wild. Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody, please go out, listen to Bright Soil, get yourself a copy of The Horses in Montana because it's absolutely phenomenal. Christopher, thank you so much for doing this, not just for coming on the show, but for creating such beautiful art and sharing it with everyone.
Thank you, man. I had a good time. Appreciate you.
My thanks again to Christopher for joining me on the show today. Fence's new album, Bright Soil, is available now wherever you stream music. And the gorgeous music video for the song Werewolf Palm is up now on his YouTube channel. And his book of short narratives, The Horses in Montana, is available now. Signed copies of the first run are still available but are limited, so act fast. And you can track down Christopher on his Instagram @FencesMusic. Links to all of those, as always, are in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo That's My Jawn podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. And guys, it's never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for the link tree with links to articles, merchandise, all of the previous episodes of this podcast, guest appearances on other pods, and more. And while you are there, please be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter X at @YoThat'sMyJawn and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out and touch some Jawn. Thanks for tuning in. Forever grateful that I get to have these amazing conversations with so many creatives that I admire. And I only get to do that because you guys give it a listen. So, as always, thank you. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be.
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/ytmj/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.